Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I wanted to share with you a little bit more about what I did over the weekend. So it was Easter weekend, right? And a totally different Easter weekend. You know, I was watching a lot of Father Nathan Cromley of the St. John Institute. He was doing a lot of live stream mission talks. I think he had like 2 a day. Plus, if you got up at 7:30, you could do the rosary with him, and then his 8 a.m. victory call. And he has mass normally at 1:30. He wasn't doing mass for the Triduum. I think that's back on starting today. So by the time you watch this, it'll already be over. But know that he does mass at 1:30 every day in the afternoon. That's Eastern Daylight Time. And so what I did with my free time then, when I wasn't watching these things or I wasn't actually cooking, we ordered a meal in. We ordered a Greek dinner. We're going to be eating the leftovers all week. It's amazing. So that was just a very fun choice. I didn't get overwhelmed with work. I didn't get super stressed. I was able to relax and do all the retreats. It was a lovely gift. And so I spent my time doing prayer shawls. So the one that I made first, I thought was really fun and colorful. Our local hospice likes them to be about 3 foot by 4 foot. I mean, you can see, I think you can see it's about 3 foot by 4 foot. And they like to lay them across the bottom of the person's bed normally if they're very far into hospice. If it's someone who's not, this is because it's a hospice that's like in a hospital setting, so they're normally not very mobile. It's nice size though, because if the person is a little bit more mobile, you can, wrap it around them as well. And it goes with their belongings to the loved ones after the person passes, so it's a nice remembrance of those last days. But they really like them to be bright and colorful and cheerful. I thought this one I was trying to recreate like a Mexican blanket, but as a crocheted blanket. And if you've done our hats back at Christmas time, you can totally do this, because the only stitches involved are single crochet and then chain, single crochet and then chain. And then when you go back in the next row, you're going to put your single crochet in that chain from the one before, and then make your chain that goes over the single crochet. So they're fitting together like little puzzle pieces, and it kind of gives it a woven texture. I thought it was really fun. I've never done that stitch before in crochet, and it was very simple. It's the 2 first stitches you're going to learn, and so I thought that was a great one to share with y'all. Of course, then I did something else, and I'm just going from yarn I have around the house. If you're wondering, yeah, there's sparkle in there, by the way. This is actually a tonal yarn that goes down through the rainbow colors, but I actually cut them apart to put the contrasting colors together to get that more Mexican feel. And that left me lots of little ends to sew in, but it was definitely worth it. So the one I'm working on now does require a more advanced stitch. It's like the 3rd stitch you will learn, the double crochet. So remember the 70s, the ripple stitch. And that's what I'm doing. I just thought it looked like ocean waves, and that would be something lovely. Again, I'm just going through my stash. So when I get yarn at Christmas time or, for birthday gifts, I do ask for some of the acrylic yarn. Now, I normally get really great yarn from my local knit shop, and I love her wool yarn, especially at Christmas time for hats for the homeless or the military. Has to be 100% untreated wool for those, and those are for things that usually aren't going to get washed, but the wool doesn't catch fire. If you get super washed, it's got a treatment on it, and they're a little hinky about that. So that's great for hats, so like for the homeless and for the military, because, well, okay, the military is probably going to wash them, but maybe not as much out in the field, and they need the fire retardant material, and the homeless really aren't going to wash their hats so much, and wool stays warm even when wet, so that's the real benefit there for them. Now, some shelters do wash people's clothes, and that's where acrylic comes in for your superwash. Because that's what they're really going for, is something that can stand up to the high heat. And then you're kind of getting into just acrylic if you want something to really stand up to the high heat of a washer and dryer, because that's how they like to do it, to get rid of any pests or anything that are in the clothing. So if they're not going to be washed like that, though, it can probably be a variety of things. You could probably also use cotton to make it lightweight, or linen. But check your local hospice if you're donating to a particular place. Figure out where you're donating first, because they do each have their own requirements. Acrylic is often preferred just because it's so easily to wash. I'm going to point up there, because I'm going to link a video that kind of explains that in more detail than I've heard it before, and why that's so important. And I wanted to show you quick one other thing. Yes, one of our packages came today, and I was super duper excited because it came from Academy of the Immaculate. I was like, I'm not expecting any packages yet. They all said they'd be delayed because of, the holiday. Between the holiday and the coronavirus, everything's delayed. Okay, it's just one of the books, but I'm very excited. So it's Studies in Honor of Our Lady of Guadalupe, but it's the editor. I'm after. Edited by Father Peter Damian Fellner. And it has his old order in here as the initials because that's where he was. He was originally Order of Friar Minors Conventional, and he switched to a little branch off group, and then he came back before he passed away. And that's where I met him. When he came back and stayed at the shrine of St. Anthony, and that's where I met him. I mean, Father Peter Damian, he has such insight. Like, amazing. I've never met a priest like him before. It blew my mind. He was such a mystic. And so I know there are actually symposiums held on Father Peter Damian's work, both while he was alive and since he's passed. And I've watched some of them online, but to get the chance, to start reading some of his books, I was like, I just needed one. I curate a newsletter. I say curate instead of editing. It's a much better word for what I do. And just being the month of May is coming up, I thought some of quotes from Father Peter Damian's writings on Mary would be particularly appropriate because he talks a lot about St. Francis and St. Bonaventure and their love of Our Lady, and of course of Maximilian Kolbe. So I'm very excited to find out who's all in here. Oh, so the contributors are His Eminence Raymond Leo Cardinal Burke. You might have heard of him. Father Angelo Geiger. What? I know him too. He's amazing. Mother Miriam of Lamb of God. Yes. Father Dwight Campbell, Monsignor Arthur Button Calkins, and then of course Father Peter Damian. Yes, I know everybody on here but one. I'm so excited. This is going to be an amazing book, so I'm going to review this at a later time. So yeah, I just wanted to get on here and talk to you a little bit about prayer shawls. So I think we might have touched on it before. So besides putting them at the bottom of the bed, to use them for a little bit of color and brightness to people's day, you can also wrap it around their shoulders, and then the bereaved get them. There's many other great causes that you're going to hear about in the video, but one of the greatest things, in case you don't watch it, or if you do, that I've heard lately, is to attach the washing directions, which I always do, but I've always attached it to the blanket itself. So when I'm done knitting this, I'm going to wash it and dry it, and because of what's going on, I'm going to wash it and dry it, and when I take it out, I'm going to be wearing gloves, so I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to fold it up, put it in its little Ziploc bag, seal it up, and it's going to be ready to go. But the thing I heard to add to them now is when you add the washing directions, have a lovely note card with maybe a Bible verse or something inspirational in it on one side and the washing directions on the other. And that way the person is going to not only be blessed by the card, you might explain the prayers that you were praying while you made the blanket, or the inspirational quote, the Bible verse that really touches you, right? But they're going to keep the card for the washing directions, and maybe they'll keep that inspirational quote nearby, and it's another way to bless them and just make contact with them. And in fact, the Franciscan Center in downtown Baltimore has actually been asking for three things they want, just three things. They have some volunteers coming in. The National Guard is helping them to deliver to-go paper bag meals to people. They're delivering to school kids and senior complexes, lots of great places where people really need to get out and food. If you're in the suburbs and thinking you're having a hard time getting food, cities are known to be food deserts, which I know is crazy because you go, right? You visit and you go to all these great shops and restaurants. Yeah, the restaurants aren't open right now. And think about the last time you saw a full grocery store in the heart of the city where the people really live. There really aren't grocery stores, and they have a very limited selection. They're like a captive audience, right? And I don't know that the Arabers would be working right now. So if you're in the city, you're not really getting your fresh things. So they're delivering it straight to the people. So the main things they're asking for are donations, straight out donations. You can do it online, so you don't have to have any contact with anybody, right? No worry about those germs there. Bottled water. That's something they really need. And the third thing is little notes to put in people's food to bless them with. So again, you can wash your hands, glove up, write those out, right? And send them in bulk. The website for that is Franciscan Center Baltimore. So it's FCB More. I know, it's kind of cute. Lots of people call Baltimore B More. It's kind of inspirational right there. So you can even use that. So I've been making these, and I'm not sure that they're accepting them right now, but I'm going to try and use this opportunity to stockpile them, because I know our hospice is summertime. It's the time of year when they don't get them. And in hospice, it's still cold in their rooms, right? They still need them. They need them nonstop. And so I figure if we can stock them up now, when we get out of here, it's going to be a great blessing to be able to hand them to them, whether they want to wash them on their own first or whatever. So those are my two big things. If you check with your inner city, Franciscan Center is it is my main go-to charity, because it does everything in the city, right? It does everything. And so they are just a solid foundation I can just give to them and know that things are going to get done. Find out what that is in your local community and reach out to them and find out what they need, because I am sure they need something. So just reach out and find out what that is. And I'm going to let you guys go. God bless.